Hello and welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast. My name is Graham Arrowsmith.
And my name's Kevin Appleby. So today, Graham, we're exploring how to organise an event or a celebration for you and your team.
Yes, we have Minoti Parikh, who was a famous TV presenter in India and a very prestigious sort of Master of Ceremonies out there. And she moved over here about 3 years ago to be with her husband and is building a business called This Pampered Life. And she's a very infectious person. And I think you're going to really enjoy some of the lessons that she developed whilst in India and is applying now to companies in this country who are obviously seeking event planning and special events to make their employees feel wonderful and rewarded.
So let's hear from Minoti.
So today we have Minoti Parikh, and she comes all the way from, well, actually, she lives in Leeds, but she's all the way from India. And, she's not just anybody from India. She was a TV star.
So how does an Indian TV star end up in Leeds?
Very interesting question, Kevin. I think love, in one word. Love is the reason why I'm here in Leeds.
She loves Leeds United.
No.
You don't move from India because of Leeds United.
Definitely not that. But my husband works here. He lives here. And we had a long distance relationship for a couple of years. It was all going fine, but I guess parents come into the picture and they're like, where are you guys heading? Y'all need to settle down. So that's how marriage happened. And of course, one of us had to take the plunge of moving. And me being the generous, ever so giving person that I am, I decided to take that big step and relocate to England.
And we are fortunate to have you. I was fortunate to have lunch with Minoti yesterday, and she is just the most delightful of people. One of the things that you do nowadays is you've started a new business called This Pampered Life, and I'm fascinated with this business. And I'd like you to tell us more about what it is, and then we'll kind of backtrack to your earlier life.
Well, I could certainly do with one of those. I could definitely do with a pampered life, Graham, so I'm all ears here.
Absolutely. I think the idea behind launching a business like This Pampered Life is basically, I felt that all of us are just so busy all the time. And while there are reasons where, you've got birthdays, you've got anniversaries, and you've got those special occasions that come in, where you celebrate with loved ones, etc. There are very few times when we actually completely switch off from our daily routine and actually just recognize and celebrate who we are, what we've done. So that's how the idea of This Pampered Life came about, where you want to create a personalized memory for your clients. So that's why we call our clients our stars, because we treat them like a star, like a VIP star, enjoying their day. They don't need to worry about anything. So that was the idea behind launching a business like This Pampered Life. And what I did realize once I moved to Leeds is that obviously there's nothing like this in England, or I don't know even if it's there in India, but it definitely wasn't there around in England and Yorkshire. And what was there right now was more about us chasing experienced providers as to, can you please fit us in here? Or can you please get us that hot air balloon, please, on this Saturday? Whereas it should be the other way around. It should be that I should feel like doing a hot air balloon ride on this Saturday, and that's it. I can get it all planned out. So that was the reason to give that kind of luxury to our stars and to make them feel really special and celebrated.
I love the fact that you're calling your clients stars.
Yes.
That's a really good idea. I mean, Kevin's never been called a star. He's never been called a star. So, well, he may.
We all are stars, right? In our own ways. We've all got interesting stories. We've all got, challenges that we've overcome. We've all got our set of achievements. So why not feel proud about that, and why not just switch off from everything else and just focus on being proud and being just realizing how amazing we are.
And one question I have is what is being pampered about going up in a hot air balloon when literally 4 feet you can be, dive into your imminent death? And I just don't understand. Is that being pampered?
Yes, that is. For some people, not for you and me, surely. But yes,
and you also throw people out of planes as well, don't you?
Yeah,
that's not my idea of first class flying. I'm not being thrown out the door, no.
Well, if you put it that way, that we're going to throw people out of the plane, then no. But yes, if somebody has a skydiving experience as their bucket list, we help them tick that off.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a really good point, because many of us now have got bucket lists. I mean, Kevin, being the age he is, he's really getting to the end of his now because he's done everything. But truth is, we need to have bucket lists, because life's for living, and so This Pampered Life is really all about, I suppose, delivering to that.
Yes, absolutely, living in the present and actually soaking in that feeling of being what you are, who you are. And I think, we all have bucket lists, but it'll be nice for a change to have bucket lists which only have experiences on them, and not like, oh, by the age of 40 I should own 5 houses and 2 cars and blah 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 blah. It should be a lot more about memories, and by the age of 40 or 50 I want to create these kind of memories, because ultimately I think when you look back at life, it's really those memories that make the difference.
Yeah, there's one personal development guru that I rather like, and one of his exercises is to imagine you've gone right to the end of your life and you're thinking, what would I like to be remembered by? And his statement comes after it. Well, nobody puts down, I wish I had another Mercedes, or I wish I'd had 3 more houses. It's all something that's much more experiential, much more about giving, much more about enjoying.
Yes, absolutely. Spot on, yeah.
What a wonderful way of looking at life. And you are right, and I completely agree with you, Kevin. And this whole area, and one of the things that you're doing, and I guess one of the reasons that you're so capable and sort of attractive in this market is because of what you were doing in your life before you actually came across to West Yorkshire. Tell us more about you in India.
Right. So I've been a Master of Ceremonies and a TV presenter for about 12 years now. Have presented over 1,500 odd live events across 25 countries. Have had my own TV show, which was actually a sports-based show on a national television for 7 years. Have been fortunate enough to work alongside the Prime Minister of India, the President of India, the biggest names in terms of sports personalities, movie stars, industrialists, etc. And of course, have had the opportunity to work for the biggest companies, the biggest MNCs in the world: Apple, Samsung, Volkswagen, General Motors. I mean, you name it, and I'm pretty sure I would have done some work for them. So in a nutshell, that's what I've been up to in India.
Yeah. So how then does that translate into doing what you're doing now?
Well, I think so. Even when I was a Master of Ceremonies, it was really about creating special experiences. Though at that level, we're talking about a different scale of experiences, because events per se have, you're talking about a bigger audience in terms of size. You've got hundreds and 200s, and I've done events with 20,000 people as well. So you're talking about that, but then at the same time, all that, as a Master of Ceremonies, what my role has always been is about how I can create special moments through that event. It could be by the kind of games I play, the kind of interaction I do. If it's a team building event, then the kind of talks I do to motivate the audience. So it's always been about recognizing others and making them feel special. The medium has been slightly different, but at the end, the message has been pretty much the same.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And actually, I've seen some, and we'll have to put some YouTube links to see you in action. And you're very, very professional. And you told me yesterday, and this is such an interesting thing. Minoti, something you went out and did something like 22 days in a month on the road because you're so busy, so much in demand. And one of the little things that you told me was, how many suitcases had you already got packed?
Yeah. So back in India, obviously, I led a very, very, very busy life. So I would have 4 suitcases at my house at any given point in time, because I used to be literally in and out of city of Mumbai, or even if I was in Mumbai, in the morning I was doing a press conference, in the evening I was doing an awards night. So yeah, I had suitcases ready all the time, and I would just get home, pick the next suitcase with the next outfit, etc., and then head to the venue or head to the airport. So yeah, that was pretty much my life for a good 10 years, I would say.
All those suitcases, though. And you have cocktail dress in one,
Yes.
really glamorous in another, very
Yes.
business-like, Mrs. May in another, that kind of idea. So that was very clever.
Did you ever take the wrong suitcase?
You were there ahead of me.
No, because I think I'm very particular about that. So I would have my name tags on the suitcase that, okay, this contains this kind of an outfit. So just to make sure that I don't go wrong. But yeah, touch wood, I never picked the wrong suitcase, or that would have been
that bodes well for This Pampered Life, doesn't it? Because basically, it's a lot of the success will be in the detail, in making the experiences really resonate. You really don't want to drop the ball, do you? So it's one of those things you want to be on top of that. Yeah,
it is. And the thing that I realized even in India, it's obviously all about whatever you do in life. It's so important to play along with what your strengths are. And I thought when I was in India, the kind of events I did, and not just in India, actually, because I traveled internationally as well for so many of my events, I realized that my unique selling point has always been the fact that I put in a lot of time and effort to understand what the client wants, and then deliver to those expectations. So even if that means that I miss out on doing an extra event, or I miss out on going out for an extra TV show episode, or whatever it is, even if that it meant to sacrifice extra work, I would make sure that I've spent enough time with the client and on the script, or if it's something to do with, if they want help with the creative concept for the event or the theme for the event, I've spent enough time and done justice. So I thought that's why clients like me. That's why clients gave me repeat work. I ended up doing so many events for consecutive 9 years, 10 years, which is something that not too many Master of Ceremonies can boast about. So what made them call me every year was the fact that my persistence, or the consistency of my performance, was pretty much the same, if not better. And that's what I thought, that I should, whatever I do in life, I need to keep that going, because I'm good at it.
Yes. Wow. Don't you get inspired? If you're
you
listening
do.
now, you must be inspired. I defy you not to be inspired by that, because you have been very successful. But you mentioned earlier that you had a TV show, your own TV show. Now, tell us a bit more about that, because it's quite a sporty thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I used to present motocross, the rally and the biking championship for 7 years, and I must admit that I was not a fan at all before I started shooting. I had no idea what cars were and bikes were, and what's the CC like, and just had absolutely no idea. I by chance I was asked to audition for this show, and again I think luck played a very important part in this particular experience, because generally for television to break into the television industry, it's very, very difficult. I'm sure most of the people would have heard about that. So it was just by chance that I had an introduction with the producer of that show, and he liked the way I spoke, and he saw me in a live show. Actually, he didn't see me on television, and he just like, do you fancy doing a sports show? And for me, it was like, no, because I don't know much about it. But he's like, just give it a go. So my audition was okay, and he said, okay, let's do like a trial episode. And of course, then again, the same thing came in, that I did a lot of research because I wanted to get it right. And the trial episode went well, and we signed the contract, etc. It was a very different experience actually on grounds, because as drivers or riders, they were not used to seeing a female there on the tracks. It's obviously a very male-dominated sports. So
it must have been a bit dangerous for them as well, wouldn't it? I mean, I suppose seeing you at the side of the track, probably all kinds of accidents, falling off and all that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if all those accidents. Yeah, they could have blamed me. I don't know. Probably, that's what they would talk to their instructors with. Oh, it was that lady over there. She shouldn't be standing on the tracks. But hopefully, I hope that none of them happened because of me. But yeah, so it was interesting because from my point of view as well, I was not used to being the only woman on the track, and the people are giving me like dirty stares as to what's she up to. So actually, the first year, I remember like bikers would, when they were giving me their interview bites, they would have a very kind of contempt or like just disagreeing with the fact that why is a female asking me about the track and, about what my performance was and what does she know?
Sure.
So that happened for the first year, and I had to kind of psychologically really break those barriers and have that conversation off camera with them that, look, I've done my research and I'm a professional and I'm not just somebody who they picked up from the road. And so it's nice if you could give me a more professional interview bite so it can come out that well on television. So it was a lot more off-screen work than on-screen in the first 2 years for me. But then, of course, by the third year, most bikers, most racers, they get to know you and you have a rapport with them, and then it's a lot more easier from there on. Yeah.
But you did it for 7 years. Now, how many times did you actually get on one of those bikes?
I got on. I would say that I got on most of the cars, because bikes, I'm not. I don't know what to do with it. Obviously, I've sat behind but I've not really. But for cars, yes, I've gone ahead and just driven around, had a go at it when my producer was not looking. And this was obviously on the 4th, 5th year when I had that kind of a rapport with the drivers that I could just be like, can I just kind of go for a spin for a couple of minutes or something? So yeah.
I think this is giving everybody the impression what a wonderful life you lived in India, and
yes,
that life was a wonderful thing, and obviously for clients of This Pampered Life right now, they might be thinking of you as saying, oh wow, this lady really does know her stuff. And if I was planning an event, Minoti, what are the things that you would advise me to think about when it comes to, say, an event? And it might be, an event to launch a new product or a service, or a car, or simply that you want to take out your team for a motivational event.
Yeah.
What are the things that you'd want people to think about, generally speaking?
I think before you kind of get into the logistics of things, it's very important to understand what's the message that you want to bring across through your event. Is it to just let the employees know that they are cared for, they are recognized, all their efforts are, rewarded? Or is it just something like you want to train them? Or if it's a wedding, then so it depends on what is it that you want to achieve at the end of that event.
Yeah.
Secondly, who's your audience? What's their taste like? What's their lifestyle like? What is it that they like? What is it that they won't appreciate or won't even care for? So you might end up saving on a lot of extras if you know that your audience is anyway not going to be bothered about XYZ.
Yeah.
Because for events, what happens is, because there's so much information available online, people think that if you're not from the industry, people think that you need to do everything to make it a successful event, and that's very, very far from the truth.
It's,
So
I suppose the way in which you should think about that is, and Kevin's an accountant. If you imagine an accountancy sort of you probably wouldn't want a dance floor, would you? Let's face it, because they'll be sat around with their calculators and talking about the Financial Times and all that. They won't be dancing on the floor.
Oh, I don't know. You can get some accountants that let their hair down, Graham, occasionally. They're not all the John Cleese stereotype.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
No, but like, for example, if it's going to be 70% males and 30% female, then you don't want to spend a lot of money on, say, the decor, like, just kind of decorating the room really lavishly, because if the occasion is just about having a good time, then you really want to invest in a very good venue, very good food, and a very good quality DJ and a dance floor, because that's really what is going to make the party a success. Yeah. So it really depends. I think you need to understand who your target audience is, and thirdly, of course, most importantly, what your budgets are. Yeah. Once you've got those three answers, or you have a better idea, then kind of look into the second stage of venue hunting, and then theme and invites and all the extras.
Yeah. But then interestingly, once the event's done, yes, that's where most of us will be thinking, right, well, that's done, on to another year now. But you go another step, don't you?
Yes. So for the team building or the corporate packages that we offer at This Pampered Life, it's pretty much a 4-stage process. So we get into the organization about a month before the actual team building day, because we want to really understand the gaps. We want to understand the challenges that the employees face, and actually what they really like about the workspace as well. Then we create a campaign which is like a build up to the actual team day. So if the team day is supposing November 30th, then from the 30th of October, we start sending in fillers and emailers and, kind of small gifts, etc., just to keep that excitement on and to build up the employees, motivation, so that they're really looking forward to the day And then once we get through the team building day, then we make sure that we go back into the office through workshops or through surveys, or there are many, many different methods that we use, and we actually get the feedback in terms of how much of that learning or how much of that entire experience has helped them grow and improve their performance, improve productivity, and how much has it helped the employees itself to feel better about being in the workspace. So it's kind of both ways, not just from the point of view of the employer, but also from the point of view of the employees as well. So it's very important that we do that stage 4, where we understand what has been the actual result or benefit. Only then it makes sense, really.
So how do you actually do that stage 4? And it sounds as though you're dealing with an awful lot of intangible things there. How do you kind of become objective?
So we, of course, this all is kind of decided in advance before we start off with stage 1 as to what method will suit that particular team. So there have been instances where we've gone back to the office and we've done breakout sessions where we've given them challenging situations based on all those gaps that we've been talking about, etc., etc. And then we've seen or we've observed how they perform at this given situation after all those 2 months of talk, etc., team day. So that's how then we monitor and we judge in terms of performance, what's been the progress, or what is it that we still need to fill in terms of gaps. Sometimes clients don't want us to go through that, they don't want us to kind of get into the office or disturb their day-to-day. Then it's just us going out, giving feedback forms or doing online interviews or telephonic interviews and trying to understand from there what's the feedback like, what's the review like. And so it really depends from client to client.
So you've obviously started to think now about applying This Pampered Life to corporate, to the corporate
Yes.
world. So what plans do you have to actually, what are the things? Because one of the things I do know about you
Yeah.
is that you obviously provide experiences, but you find your clients saying, "Oh, by the way, can you do?" What do they ask you?
Presentation skills, yes.
So
That was a
I wonder why. I mean, it's not like you've been in front of the camera or anything.
I know. That's really
know.
surprising. Yet to find the answer. But yeah, I mean, I think the bit that was surprising for me is that I thought, and this is probably just one of those things, right, where you are pushing yourself back instead of pushing yourself forward. Well, I thought that obviously somebody who doesn't know my background in terms of being a master of ceremonies, etc., they probably might not just buy into me coming up, getting into their office and doing a presentation skills workshop. But turns out they do. So yes, I've had quite a few instances where I've gone ahead to pitch for a team away day, and they've obviously through conversations they've found out about what I was up to most part of my life, and they've kind of been like, "Oh, okay, would you like to do something like this? Come in for a day, do a workshop on confident presenting, or just improving interpersonal skills and interpersonal communication, because it's all interconnected." It's all about people skills at the end of the day. So yes, that's been an interesting addition to our services.
I'm just now thinking back to our lunch yesterday. You'll have been judging me on my presentational skills. Oh no!
No, don't worry. Not. I think.
What did he get? 1 out of 10? 2 out of 10?
Yeah.
Is there a minus score? Yeah, no.
No.
That's joking.
Yeah. Well, that's all we've got time for today. So no, we'll carry on.
Carry on.
So, you, as a master of ceremonies,
Yes.
most people will recognize that when we have events, you'll have some. It is typically people from the media that tend to get those gigs, isn't it? So it's not really surprising that in India that you picked up that sort of thing. Have you found that UK audiences have reacted well to you as well, because you've got a huge amount of experience?
Yes. I think I still continue to be a master of ceremonies. So I do present a lot of live events here. Mostly there are charity balls or award nights, because I don't think in terms of industry wise, compared to India, you don't have that many product launch events here, etc., of that scale. Right. I'm pretty much doing award nights or charity balls. In terms of television, I'll be honest, I have not explored the television industry here, plainly because I just felt like it'll be better if I move on to something that kind of makes me grow in terms of my personality. And what's the next step is obviously creating your own business, having your business idea out there in the market.
Yes.
So I have not taken that proactive step of approaching TV channels, but in terms of live event space, I think I've been very well received. If I'm saying that myself.
That reminds me of what Jeremy Franson said to us, Kevin, on our 100th episode. And Jeremy, if you remember, he said that you don't want to get in your own way in terms of development. So, and that's really what you've just said, Minoti, that you're effectively, you wanted to get out of your own way so you can actually progress and move on in your life.
Yeah, and I think, in terms of just growth and evolving, it's nice to challenge yourself. That's probably one of the reasons why I decided that, okay, I've had a lot of success in India, and obviously, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to continue there. But if I've been given a chance to actually leave all that and start from scratch all over again, then let me challenge myself. Let me see how that one goes.
Yeah, well, I've got to say, your husband must be very, very must be a very compelling bloke. That's all I can say, to pull you away from all that success and all those events, all those suitcases,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the
bet you came up with
suitcases
quite
are
a
still
few.
here. They've just reduced in numbers. Now they are just 2.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So,
but I think he's kind of made me, because obviously when I relocated here, I was quite a pain for the first few months, because you're so used to living a certain lifestyle that I felt it was like a big deal if somebody told me to put the dishes in the dishwasher, because obviously in India you don't even do it as a normal person, you've got help to do that.
yeah.
So for me, it was more about, oh my God, you're asking me to put dishes in a dishwasher. Like, this is just so not me. But he kind of put me in my right spot by saying that, okay, you've taken your decision, you live with it and you deal with it. You need to create your own life here.
Oh, I'm warming to him already. I'm warming to him. Yeah.
Graham doesn't know where the dishwasher is.
Well, no, I'm a wee bit old-fashioned. I tend to wash dishes as opposed to put them into the dishwasher. I don't know. I don't know why that is. I suppose I just made that way. But anyway, moving on.
Moving away from dishwashers.
Moving away from dishwashing. I one of the things I really wanted to try and get from you, in a sense, is what from a business point of view, if I'm putting on an event, is there a magic ingredient that we should be thinking about from our businesses? We wanted to get our staff really engaged. Is there that magic sort of event? Is there some ingredient that you've noted?
The thing that I feel has worked most has been just a simple fact that people buy people. And, if you are personable, if you genuinely care, if you genuinely show that you're interested in creating this kind of an event, it's all that a person wants. It's just that little recognition and that little appreciation of the fact that you matter. No matter what the medium. And that's what I keep telling my clients as well, that yes, of course, it's amazing if we could get all of them to do a skydiving experience, etc. But then if you don't have those kind of budgets, it really, what's more important is the feeling, it's that emotion. And if that's authentic, if that's genuine, then you are going to make your employees happy no matter what. Wow.
And I don't know if we can beat that. That's a great place to end the interview, because I think one of the things that we should ask you is, how can people find out more about you?
Very important question. You must end the episode with this question.
She's so pushy.
So how do people find out more about you?
Well, of course, they can get on the website. That's www.thispamperedlife.com. I've got on LinkedIn as well. I'm there. So Minoti Parikh is what they need to search for. And that's that.
How about that?
So I'm there on Twitter as well, but not that active. So I probably would say LinkedIn or my website.
Right. Excellent. So at this stage, then, thank you very much indeed, Minoti, for joining us on the next 100 days. You've been a delightful guest, and it's really been helpful to find out more about how we should run our events. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Minoti.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
So, Graham, we've just celebrated our 100th episode. Perhaps we should have marked that in a bit more of a pampered way.
Yeah, I think after 100 episodes, we deserve a wee bit of pampering. But and who would we turn to? We'd turn to Minoti. And 100 episodes is a fantastic achievement. And we were told that by Jeremy Franson himself when he complimented us, if you like, for our persistence. And I think if you think about it in terms of a podcast, we're very proud of getting to that milestone. But equally, your employees and the people that you work with who are special to you, they're interested in having some form of reward, because they too, like you, are part of your mission. They too, like you, are trying to achieve good things in your business. So, what better way than to reward them in some meaningful way that makes them feel special? I can't think of a better thing that you can do for your employees.
You know, Graham, I'm thinking back to that 100th episode with Jeremy, and Jeremy was talking an awful lot about putting people into roles that they love doing, giving them things they love doing. So this all follows through that same theme of really appreciating and feeling grateful for your employees and the contribution they give.
Yeah, very good point. And Jeremy made some really good points there. I mean, he was kind of leader who didn't really want staff. I mean, he had a lifestyle vision, and I think for Jeremy, he wanted to basically, study, learn, develop a new business by the application of that learning, but he wanted his staff, once they were recruited, to be somewhat arm's length, and then effectively, but because they're arm's length, it then empowered them to have far more say over the running of the business. And so getting the right people in that circumstance was really important. And as far as rewarding them, it would be very difficult to have a team event because they were distributed, if you like, in that online space. But, when, our listeners may well have teams that are local and that can be got together readily. And, the events that Minoti puts on are ideal for people like that.
I think it's worth putting a lot of effort into those events. I love the way Minoti's taking this as a 4-step process of really thinking about what's the objective. What do you want to get out of this? And then coming back after the event and saying, well, did we get out of this what we expected to? Have we made the difference?
Yeah, that's so important because, how many times have we had events in our careers where, on every measurement, there has been no measurement, because basically you've had an event. It's been a fantastic do. And I went to quite a number with some of the companies that I worked with, and they cared enough to put those sorts of events on. And I know that they worked because you could see the impact on motivation, etc., sales figures, etc. But basically, how could you associate that, shall we say, shot in the arm to that event? And, having pre and post measures, having clear milestones for what you want to achieve, the kind of level of importance that people contributing and being involved in those events have at the end of them. If you measure that, then you're kind of good to go for your next event, aren't you? You are.
Yes, I've been to some really great events that have been properly thought through like that, but I've also been to plenty that they've just been done for the sake of having an event. And sadly, at a lot of those, they had a big budget. And to all purposes, that budget was wasted because it wasn't really thought through properly.
No, I suppose it's a tick in the box against, we've done something for our employees, but it's not so much about that. It's if you can, yes, reward your employees, but have some sort of understanding of the value of that event. And it's by having somebody like Minoti involved in the process that if that's baked into her service, you're going to get that anyway. So, it just seems to me that, there is a big opportunity out there for all of us to get better at these sorts of events. And, one way is to involve people and companies just like Minoti's. So I think it's been a really nice, light, but very, very thought-provoking, I think, because it's all about people. Thought-provoking episode today, Kevin.
It certainly has, Graham. And please, if you want to know more, come along and join us in the Facebook group. There's a great conversation going on there in the Next 100 Days Facebook group. And if you enjoyed the episode, please go and leave us that 5-star review on iTunes, on Stitcher, or anywhere else you pick the show up.
Well, we are both thankful that you are listening to us. It's been a real pleasure. I've been Graham Arrowsmith.
And I've been Kevin Appleby. Goodbye.
Goodbye.